So the reptilian brain is always asking, am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? If I'm safe, then I can move up into my paleo-mammalian brain, which says, am I loved? Am I connected? And if I'm safe, and if I'm connected and loved, then it can ask, oh, what can I learn? What is there out there for me to learn? Because the whole job of the cortex is to learn and problem solve and identify patterns. But if the more primitive parts of the brain are on red alert, then that's not going on. And you know for yourselves, you see the most stressed children in schools, they're not learning anything because their brains are really busy trying to be safe and trying to be loved. So what human infants are born with, and I apologize, I did pirate this off the internet, which is why it has the thing in the middle. But I like the picture, because you see what that little infant is doing? Reaching out and holding on to a caregiver. It turns out that we have this wiring as adults to respond to infants. How many times have you seen an infant just have a smile on your face? That's your brain. It is pre-programmed to take care of infants. Unless you're stressed, unless you don't feel safe, unless you didn't feel connected as a child yourself. So, obviously the brain depends on a lot of sensory stimulation. That sensory stimulation causes our neurons to produce proteins. And when we have an impoverished environment, there isn't as much protein going on, so there are fewer neural networks in the cortex. So the brain really shapes itself according to the environment. First we get vision through eye contact. So you know every mother-infant dyad that you've probably ever seen has some kind of eye contact thing going on. I'll show you the video in a minute. And what that does is it starts the frontal lobe's myelination process. So we have these neurons in our brains called mirror neurons. So when I do this, part of your brain that's over on your left motor cortex that you need in order to do this yourself, that lights up so you can tell what I'm doing. So that system is probably in place so that caregivers and infants can go back and forth and they can recognize each other. And you know, if you've ever been in close contact with an infant, you've probably made faces at it, and the infant makes faces back at you. And the infant says, oh, and you say, oh, and that's programmed by your brain. It's not just something nice. And sometimes people find themselves, I know I did when I was a young mother, find themselves feeling really silly, but you can't help yourself if you're not stressed. So the bottom line is the whole thing comes from connection. We want to connect up neurons with each other. We want to connect up brain parts with each other. And that means that we have to connect with each other. So the brain cannot develop without connection. If you look at it this way, then you can say children who are seeking attention are really seeking connection. And that's huge, because sometimes those children who haven't felt safe and haven't felt loved can be really obnoxious. And so what I want to do is spend a little bit of time towards the end talking about what can we do with those children. So cooperation comes from connection. You would certainly agree that if you feel connected to somebody, of course you're going to cooperate with them. If you're sitting on the couch with your spouse and you're really connected to that spouse, and they get up and you say, hey, would you give me a little something to eat? Because they're going to get something to eat. They're going to say, sure, what would you like? But if you're sitting on that couch and you've been sitting on that couch together for 40 years and you haven't talked to each other for the last 30 years, and the person gets up and you say, hey, would you give me something to eat? What are they going to say? Get it yourself. Right? That's what I mean by connection. So, when we cooperate with people, it's because we feel connected to them. Likewise, when children cooperate with us, it's not because we're coercing them, unless we really threaten their safety. It's because they feel connected to us. So, just as Winnicott said, there's no such thing as an infant without a mother. There's no such thing as a mother without an infant. We're all connected, and that's part of our paleo-mammalian heritage. And if we don't recall that, then we're all going to keep ourselves really stressed most of the time. time. So what do I mean by connection? What do you think of when we say connection? Do you have any ideas? What's that mean? To be connected. Attachment. Okay. It turns out that connection has 4 really important variables. So I'm going to show you what's not connection, okay? No eye contact, right? No eye contact. No sense of presence, being here, bringing your mind to where your body is. There was touch. There was a little bit of touch, but it was a kind of cool handshake. And then the other part is a sense of play. Talk about play in a minute. Dr. Moore and I had a wonderful conversation about play earlier today. So, 4 things you need for connection. And this, believe it or not, will tame your paleo-mammalian brain. So, if you're feeling stressed, a really good way to get out of being stressed is to connect with somebody else. That's your brain's heritage. Now, when I say connect with somebody else, I also don't mean just go find somebody and vent. That's not the same as connecting. And what do we tend to do when we get stressed? We isolate. We go off by ourselves. That's really not good for our brains. So connection is touch, eye contact, presence, and play. This is the American Sign Language for play. So I want you all to learn these, so let's do them together, okay? Touch, eye contact, presence, and play. It's these two, right? Play. Okay. And you can come up with your own symbol for play if you like. But it turns out that when children have that, touch, eye contact, a sense of you really being present with them, and a sense of play, you are helping them to develop their brains. Period. It's also a nice thing to do, but we don't do it because it's a nice thing to do. We do it because we want our children's brains to develop. Does that make sense? This is how all mammals learn. This is how we learn the rules of social behavior. You've seen probably National Geographic videos of lion cubs playing, puppies playing, kittens playing. All young mammals play. And that is so they can myelinate their brains. And also so that they can learn the rules of the social order. So, anytime we stifle play, anytime we're not present with our children, we are stunting their brains. And I mean that really seriously. So this is like such important information to me, and that's why I wrote up talking about it. Because if we don't allow children to connect with us, and another thing about connecting is, say your child comes up and tugs on you, Mommy, watch me do this. And you say, oh yeah, sure, good job. Are you present? Are you making eye contact? Do you have a sense of play? Is there any touch? Whereas, a child comes up and tugs on you and says, Mommy, you could say, right now I'm busy, I'll watch you in a minute if you were busy. But you could also say, you jumped off the diving board. Your leg went like this, your arms went like this, you did it, way to go. Then that child, you do that one time, and that child is going to stop saying, Mommy, watch me. You know how they do that? Children are like, watch me do this. What are they looking for? Attention? Connection. They're looking for connection. They're looking for you to get present with them. So, and adults, because we have all this well-developed cortex, we're off somewhere else most of the time. But when we're with children, it's really important to figure out how to have some presence. Not every single moment, not every single day, because it also turns out that what myelinates the brain is that correction. So say you get disconnected, and then you reconnect. It's the reconnection that really builds the mental muscle. Make sense?